conference realignment. We are going to talk about the current teams in the Big 12 right now, but you've got a couple teams that are coming into the Big 12 here in short order. What is conference realignment going to do high level to the game of college football and specifically the Big 12?
Well, I can say this. We've seen this coming for years, right? Everybody tries to deny it. There's a time where when I started into it and when things really got started, Nebraska, Oklahoma was an every year game. Don't play anymore. Things are going fine, right? For everybody. So all those things that everybody thought was important in college football, guess what? New rivalries, new television contracts, new NIL, new everything. So, I think what's going to be what we have to see, and I think everybody's talking about it, the elephant in the room is, are there going to be 64 teams, right, to play in a major college football league, right? Is it 64, 74? Because it's not going to support 130. It just won't. Yeah. So super conferences are going to be here. And I think what you're going to see is the Big Ten's move is a big one. To add to it, what's going to happen? The Big 12 is going to have to add a couple more teams. They're going to have to, right? Otherwise, people get left behind. So, what's going to happen here probably in the next 6-7 months with the Big 12, with adding some teams, maybe from the Pac-12, which makes sense because in Arizona it's closer to Texas than a lot of people think, and certainly than USC is to Penn State. I'll just put it that way. But just bringing that up. So the things that you think are normal are not normal. I think it's about television contracts, television revenue, right? And to sustain these leagues, because you can't have 130 teams playing at Division I football. It's going to be different. And what that looks like from a playoff standpoint and what it looks like from a conference standpoint is changing rapidly right now.
Yeah. Well, that's a great point, Coach. And also the transfer portal is changing what specific teams looks like, right? Now, Bryce, you sat for a while at Baylor. You were a yellow shirt, a blue shirt, whatever shirt you wore, right? Green shirt. You came in, you just wanted a shot. You paid your dues under the greatest quarterback to ever play at Baylor, Mr. Robert Griffin III. And so you sat for a couple years, but you endured that. You went to work and then you had your shot. You won 2 Big 12 titles. Would the transfer portal being in place when you were in college, do you think you would have stayed it out at Baylor, or would that have changed things completely? And how has that changed it for the guys today making these decisions that are trying to get on the field?
Yeah. I mean, look, I think a lot of people would rather play it at 21 than 25, like I did. When you start your career in college at 25 years old, it's tough, with all the shirts that I had. But man, I think that, all joking aside, I think that it definitely would have changed something, right? I think that, you're now, and it's an interesting point. I'd almost love, coaches, context on this too, because you're one deep at that position. Nowadays, if I'm not playing, I'm out and I'm going to go find a starting job. And so, I know what waiting did for me. And again, in that current, the current conversation with NIL money and going to find another spot that you didn't have to, sit out a year, I still think that I would sit here and go somewhere. I don't know if I would have stayed at Baylor for as long as I did without playing. And so I think it just changes the entire dynamic. I think that it's going to be tougher on coaches, to be able to sustain at that position, because I think it's going to be a dramatic impact if that guy goes down. If your QB1 goes down, man, you're probably talking about either a freshman that came in or a walk-on, and that's just hard to do. And I think we might only have, I know the one guy down south in Austin right now with Hudson Card sitting there waiting was pretty interesting to me to sit there and watch that. But nowadays I think everybody's going to leave, and so this whole dynamic of not just the QB position, but all across the board in all 22 positions. Now you're seeing guys left and right. So, but for me, I think I probably would have left knowing, the current situation now.
Bryce, would you like me? I'll give you the politically non-correct answer.
I love it.
Well, you couldn't have sat there for that long, right? I mean, it's not going to happen, right? So in the recruiting world, when you have young guys or a proven guy or somebody because there's more guys that recruited you than just going to Baylor, unless you just bled Baylor green. Right, you sit there and wait your turn. Now, guess what? Move on. Right, play. You're in football to play, and there's too many guys out there that are looking for trigger guys that can make a difference in their program.
I'll tell you what. I wish you would have left, Bryce, because you stole 2 Big 12 championship rings from me. Pisses me off.